What's up, you heathens and demons, you sinners and saints? Beautiful, blasphemous bastards. What's going on? I'm just chilling today. I've been kind of run down. Wasn't sure if I was going to do anything today. I got a few things to look at. I figured we could just hang out. See, Jill is here. I don't know what TDS Stage 5 means. I've been gone for a year, so like any new terminologies, I'm behind the times. So, Jill, you'll have to explain that one. What's going on, Marty? What's going on, Nexus? Good to see you. Kent Hovind CPA. What's up, Big Zebra? Been a long time. It's going pretty good, man. It's going pretty good. I'll find out tomorrow if I'm if I'm in any trouble at work. A little nervous, but not too nervous. I do try to live as a Taoist. Life happens, and you just try to flow with it. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I'd hate to be fired for my political speech, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. How y'all doing? I got a few things that I might talk about today. My voice is doing better. I figure, we'll hang out. We'll watch a few things. This first thing I haven't watched at all. But what I have seen is my old friend of the channel, CJ Cox. And I've seen his Facebook page. The entire time that I've been gone, and even before I got gone, I noticed, CJ is descending down that, fundamentalist abyss. And he'd always kind of been there, and he'd always been able to, kind of be that fundamentalist, that fundamentalist bigot, but kind of, put a good face on it. And, I've noticed, especially when it comes to, trans folk, that he's just not really putting or even caring to put much of a good face on it. And in fact, I've called him in his comment section on his Facebook a couple times like a baby Matt Powell. Reminds me a lot of Matt Powell back in the day. 1 second. People are already knocking on my door as soon as I start streaming. Let me hide my camera. I've got to find everything. 1 second. My aunt got me a soda. Didn't really need it. I'm drinking coffee, but I'll take it. I always love a good fountain soda. I think fountain soda is going to be the cause of my diabetes. What's up, Dwayne Burke? I figure, this was CJ talking about the Minnesota shooting. Now, I've tried to tell CJ that, when it comes to all of the statistics on school shootings and mass shootings in America, you don't really need to worry about trans folk. You probably need to worry more about your friends, because they all seem to be right-wing males with guns. But, I haven't really looked into, the Minnesota shooter last couple days. I see a little bit of the chirping from the right, talking about the transgender issue, trying to equate school shootings and trans, trying to, utilize this school shooting as maybe a reason to get rid of trans people in America. Sounds very Russian. Sounds very Russian to me. And, I never wanted CJ to become part of this side of my opinion, right? I never wanted CJ Cox to be, the same to me as a Matt Powell or Smokey Saint that like to utilize the N-word, derogatory language towards gay people, derogatory language towards women, derogatory language towards atheists, derogatory language towards pretty much everybody that wasn't him or agreed with everything that he agreed with. You know, I never wanted to put CJ in that same box. But I don't know, we might have to. And like I said, I haven't watched this. I don't know how bad it is, how boring it is. One thing that I do know is CJ looks like a hipster. It's kind of weird. I think, you know, in his fundamentalism, and I'm not sure if it's like hanging around people like Jamie Rykin, whatever dude's name is, you know, like, and that's another kind of piece of shit that's on my Facebook. And he'll pretend being cordial sometimes, and other times he'll pretend being the troll, and other times the true Christian bigot will come out. And the only thing I have to say about CJ's friend Jamie is that, you know, like, that Christian vlogger had made great strides for the raging atheist to see Seventh-day Adventism in a different light than I had seen it before. I'd always seen it before as this kind of like fascist movement that takes over towns. But, you know, getting to know Justin Coe, you know, and really getting to like Justin Coe, becoming friends with Justin Coe, you know, I was able to kind of soften my opinion on his religion. But then Jamie comes along and is like, nope, that's why you don't like Seventh-day Adventist, right there, right here, right now. And in that vein, congratulations to Jamie. He's finally doing the Christian deed, going to get married, probably start procreating. So congratulations, Jamie, you bigoted asshole. So yeah, I figured we'd watch some of this. I don't know what's going to be said. I haven't watched CJ's channel in well over a year. In fact, it was really hard to find CJ's channel, but I finally found it, and found it by going to Modern Day Debate, because I never link channels. So I tried to like pull up some of our discussions. Oh yeah, I never link channels. So I went to Modern Day Debate and found his channel because I couldn't find it in a common search. We're going to be watching his news channel, so this is where he talks politics. His Christian channel is like really super boring. I do enjoy jumping into some of his open rooms, but I don't think he enjoys when I jump into his open rooms because I break all of his rules. So I guess we'll get into this. We'll see what CJ has to say about the Minnesota shooting, and I'm gonna take a wild guess and you know, just go ahead and put out there that I'm probably going to take a lot of issues. We might have to look up a lot of shit just to make sure, you know, good old CJ is being factual. But, you know, old friend of the channel, dude that really, you know, tried to put a positive face on really negative shit, CJ Cox, the guy that likes to argue, you know, the only real true law is biblical law from the Gospels. Not even the Gospels, biblical law from, you know, the Torah. So yeah, we had that debate. We had a debate about you know, how he thinks that America should adopt biblical slavery. So yeah, it's been a descent from, you know, CJ Cox trying to you know, put out a brand of evangelical Christianity in a nice guy kind of way, to CJ Cox just becoming the same kind of shithead everybody else is, which is sad, because I had a lot of hope for CJ. Looking more and more like a drug addict. Now, I'm not talking shit. I don't think he's on drugs, but he looks more like a drug addict than he ever did before. Dude needs to probably, you know, shave and get some sleep, but, you know, to each their own.
Shalom, friends, and welcome to this episode of The Watchdog. I am your host, CJ Cox, here to tell you, of course,
seems a little low, so hopefully you can hear it.
Biblical times. I want to go ahead and say shaloms all around to anybody who is currently in the live chat. If you are in the live chat, please remember to like and share this video. Please remember to subscribe to this channel if you have not done so. Hit the bell to get notified every time that we go live. And remember, you can leave any questions, comments, criticisms, concerns, critiques, anything of that nature in the comment section.
All right, so, you know, I think, like, CJ really tried to start growing out his shit. Looks like he's maybe trimming up the top. but like really growing out his beard as he's been talking to, like Nicholas Whitmire and getting more, I don't know, Torah friendly. And it's like some people can grow beards, some people can't. Like me, myself, I can grow a beard, but I can grow it like for like a month, and then it starts to get scraggly, like said beard we're looking at now. And I will shave it because, who the fuck wants a scraggly ass beard? Like, he's making me itch right now just looking at him. Like, bro, I know, like, you're married, and once you're married, you kind of let yourself go. Maybe you're going for that hipster look. I don't know. Maybe thinking you're looking like John Lennon with the glasses. But I would recommend a shave for my sake because you're making me itch.
Down below. If you'd like to follow us on various social media platforms, you can do so. I am on Gab, Parler, Facebook.
Yeah, so
Twitter,
Watchdog is CJ's, I guess, political brand. He fashions himself a libertarian, but as I repeatedly point out on his Facebook page to him as he posts fascist shit, that, like, this is very not libertarian. Troops in the city is like the biggest government you can fucking have. Troops in American cities, biggest government you can fucking have. Thought you were libertarian, bro. Thought you were libertarian. Now, he'll tell you like he's anti-Trump as he goes about like defending pretty much everything Trump does. So like really like a lot of two-faced shit is going on with CJ because he will play that like Epstein file. He's against Trump. He didn't vote for Trump, but then like anytime you bring up Trump, he'll defend it. You bring up fascism, he'll justify it. So it's like, I don't know, really wish-washy shit with CJ Cox over the last year or so, I'd say. Last couple years.
MeWe, MetaCafe, and etc. Whatever social media platforms you frequent, you can find me at the tag The Synagogue. And if you are on those social media platforms, please do consider sharing this video to those social media platforms. It helps with reach immensely. If you'd like to contribute to the work that we do here, of course, there are various ways you can do so. You can either give a one-time donation to the PayPal. You can subscribe to our Patreon for as much or as little as you like to contribute monthly. And you can also buy my book, 15 Questions for Calvinists Answered. Link will be provided in the description below.
A book, 50 Questions for Calvinists Answered. I mean, it sounds like you could have made a video and saved yourself some writing, like. But I don't know. Maybe I'll buy his book and we'll read that one day, just for shits and giggles. And as I sit here and talk shit, he's done literally what I haven't done. I've written books, but I've never, published a book, even self-published a book where somebody could go buy one. It's something that I plan on remedying. I've been working pretty hard on remedying that fact. I have some manuscripts. I have a manuscript, like an autobiographical manuscript that I'm probably going to start really editing, and kind of an atheist short book that I wrote that I might try to make longer in the editing phase. And I've also got a few ideas piping around to write fresh. So yeah, that's something that I plan on, remedying, is having a book that I can send people somewhere to go buy. Now, I've always tried to avoid like self-publication, but it's probably the route I'll end up going.
Although now that I think about it, I think I might have actually forgotten to set up a description today. Sorry, guys, there's a cat in here, and he is being a nuisance. Because he always is being a nuisance. Isn't that right, dude? You can't help it. In terms of channel housekeeping, obviously don't have a whole lot to get to. We are on the drive to 100 subs, which is the first of a couple of milestones we'll be wanting to hit here. So if you guys want to help us hit that, please do consider sharing this video to your friends and family, co-congregants, co-workers, anybody who you think might enjoy.
Well, only 100 subs, so he's had this channel going for a while. Excuse me, 90 subscribers. That's surprising. I didn't look at that before. Excuse me as I turn on my mic to choke to death. And that's hard to do if you think about it, because everything's branded towards, pushing right-wing content. So if you're a right-winger, your stuff is like prime material to really be pushed on pretty much all the platforms right now. I've been really bitching, and I'm seriously considering like just deleting my Facebook altogether, because my Facebook now, there's no doubt, like, my Facebook should be pushing me left-wing shit, right? Like, every post I make is left-wing unless it's me bitching about my life. Every meme I put is left-wing. I mean, 95% of the stuff I put on my Facebook, that I personally put on my Facebook, is left-wing shit. Anti-Trump shit, left-wing shit. And yet, Facebook pushes right-wing shit all the time. In fact, if we get bored in this stream today before I go to bed, I might pull up my Facebook and just read comments out of, like, the Conservative Tribune, because guaranteed it'll be there. And that's what, like, pisses me off when I'm at work. I'll go on break and I'll see this Conservative Tribune, and, like, I know, like, don't click on it. And once you click on it, you're like, don't click on the comments. And then you click on the comments, and you're sitting there hate reading for your entire fucking break. Like, just the worst shit. Like, Americans that don't know how to be American, or foreigners pretending to be American to subvert, American idealism. So it's just this, like, cesspool. And that's social media right now. Social media, Silicon Valley, all those years pretending to be, like, humanists, pretending to be Democrats, pretending to be liberals, and we all knew, like, they were neocon or neolibs or whatever, but now their true colors just showing, pushing all this right-wing propaganda. And of course Facebook's been an issue since, like, Facebook's been a thing. The whole algorithm is designed to corrupt your human condition with a thirst for the salacious and a thirst for conspiracy and conjecture. So I've been thinking about just deleting it altogether. It's a cesspool. It does nothing really but piss me off. And I think it's designed for that. And I'm tired of being pissed off all the time. I'm tired of being pissed off and it affecting my work, or affecting my home life, or affecting my, I think in this day and age, your family life is family that are congruent with your moral consistency, right? So family isn't blood anymore. It's along moral lines.
Content. We do like to do a This Day in History fun fact. And I'll be honest, I was finding it pretty difficult to think of a This Day in History fun fact that I knew of off the top of my head. So then I decided to look up August 29th, and it was kind of difficult to find a interesting This Day in History. Hey, guy, fun fact. So that was also kind of a thing there. I decided to go with something I don't know a whole lot about, but it did fascinate me. According to the Wikipedia article for August 29th, on August 29th, 1911, a Native American by the name of Ishi was the last Native American to make contact with European Americans, which is to say it was this Ishi was the last Native American to have not had any contact with white men whatsoever, before eventually, of course, coming into contact with Americans at that point, right? Because now we're talking about 1911.
I mean, that's a fucked up historical day to point out. Like, let's highlight the last Native American that met the Great White Hope for the first time. That's just kind of fucked up, CJ. I don't know. Like, I don't want to think that CJ's racist. Definitely transphobic. Definitely homophobic, probably. Although most of his bigotry seems to be centered at transphobes. But I don't know. Like his defense of the lost cause strategy, his embracing of America needs to adopt biblical slavery, leads me to conclude that maybe just maybe the libertarian white boy has some racial issues as well, but that's just conjecture. I'd be more than willing to talk to CJ. I'm sure, CJ's going to say he's not bigoted to anyone. I would guess, but maybe not. Maybe he'll be consistent and just come on and be like, yeah, fuck trans people.
I mean, this is thoroughly into the United States of America's existence, right? Made contact with them on August 29th, 19.
I don't think CJ's Amish, Dwayne. Is he Amish now? I'll have to ask him. It wouldn't surprise me. Hanging around Nicholas Whitmire too long.
11. Ishi was male, in case you're curious about that name, and he was a member of the Yahi tribe. He was from what we would today call modern day California, down near Oroville. If you're not familiar with California, Oroville is, dude, come on, really? Chill out. Oroville is up in the north, kind of center of the north, a little bit, I guess near Sacramento would be a fair way to put it. I don't know exactly how far it is from Sacramento, to be honest with you, but it's right around in that same general area, the center of the northern part of the state. And yeah, Ishi apparently emerged out of the California wilderness and made contact with white men, Americans in Oroville, or near rather Oroville, California.
Yeah, I wonder if this is like CJ's attempt to be what I call a beard. You know, like all the white dudes walking around America now, growing out their beards. And not all of it is for like fundamental Christian reasons. A lot of it's like a political statement, I think. And it really, you know, it really makes a person like me not want to grow out their beard, and that's fucked up. Like, I should be able to grow out my beard, but I don't want to be a beard. And I'm not talking about a beard in the way, like, you know, like, a gay dude that's gonna marry a woman or whatever, you know, like, not in that way, but just a beard, like, you know, I see a beard and I automatically know Trumper. You know, I see a beard and I'm like, yeah, that's a libertarian douchebag that doesn't stand for any libertarian fucking values. So that's what I mean when I say like the new beard. All these 20, early 30-year-old white dudes growing out their beards, thinking they're tough, you know, like. But, you know, most of them have to walk around with a piece on them, you know, because they're not tough. They're scared little boys.
In 1911, August 29th. So I found that to be incredibly interesting. It was the only fact here that I could find that was worth sharing with you guys.
What's up, Clockwork?
So that's the This Day in History facts that we decided to go with. A couple other things I want to get to, or one other thing really that I want to get to before we decide to move on to the content, which is I did neglect to mention the
should have
Rumble
skipped the
page.
house cleaning
Please
shit.
do
He always does this.
Subscribing to the Rumble page if you have on this website. Now, those are the two reasons that make up the. And if you don't know what that means, sorry, I can't actually say the term, but you know, see my thing, right? What is that doing? Guy holding something, pushing that something into somebody's vein, perhaps. Hopefully, you catch my drift. In that the people who are deciding to go against the censorship overlords actually get something, you know, you could call it tangible for their contributions to human liberty and to society. So those are the two reasons that make up the first reason, right? Two little sub reasons within the first reason. The second reason you should get a Rumble account is because sometimes videos do get taken down off of this channel. In fact, this particular video is one video that very likely would end up getting taken off.
Yeah, it's called Shooter in Minneapolis Was Gender Confused. Like, right away, I want to do a Google search and see, like, I need to get the thing that, like, Rationality Rules is always talking about, to where it'll break down, you know, how different political outlets look at different stories. It seems like it'd be a useful tool, especially in a situation like this. Because there's a lot of right-wing narrative going on about this, and it's hard to really find like anything of substance. And I think really with this story, to really know the truth about this one, we're gonna really have to wait for like people to like really dig it up, you know, police reports, good journalism, hopefully. But yeah, it's hard to get past the right-wing chirping on this. But what's easy to find when it comes to this issue is like what's the real problems when it comes to like mass shootings and guns. So, I haven't like Googled any of those statistics. I figure we'll do it on the fly, right? Like it should be. I'm hoping to like, display how easy it is to find correct information. Hopefully that'll work out for me today. You should hear me. I don't. All right. Yep. You hear me. Cool. I'm having mute bugs since I've been back, so it's like making sure I'm not muted. But all right. Yeah. So a lot of this house cleaning shit. I'm sure this one's gonna be a doozy. So let's hopefully he'll get at it.
This channel. Not only are we going to be talking about a mass shooting that just took place, but on top of that, we're going to be talking about the issue of transgenderism, and especially as it pertains to the conservative point of view on transgenderism, YouTube no likey, right? So we have had videos taken down before talking about things like bit, and if you don't know what that means, sorry, I can't actually say the term, but see my thing, right? What is that doing? Guy holding something, pushing that something into somebody's vein, perhaps. Hopefully you catch my drift. We've got a few videos taken down talking about those sorts of things. It's entirely possible that this video gets taken down for similar reasons. And if it does get taken down, guess where you can find it? Well, you can find it on the Rumble channel, right? On top of that, a third reason why you should subscribe on the Rumble channel is because what if this entire...
I think like you could put forward like people on YouTube that kind of can't fit within the terms of service, right? And you can even lump me in this, but I never went and got another account anywhere else. But I was like covering people that can't fit within the terms of service, and eventually the terms of service changed, and now I was no longer within the terms of service. So you can even include me in this. But like most people, that if they're on YouTube and they have to have like a Rumble account or account on any of these other alternative websites, and this is a shame that I'm saying this because I think there needs to be like a legitimate alternative to YouTube. Like I really wish for a YouTube that kind of goes back, not so much more to the old days of how they censored videos, but just to the old days of being more creator friendly. I want a YouTube that isn't a commercialized streaming platform for commercialized shit. I want a YouTube that's a streaming platform for everyday normal people again. It's what I fell in love with YouTube. It's what I miss. It's those old Cult of Dusty shits. Like just people on YouTube getting creative. I think there needs to be an alternate, but the only alternates we have is centered around like the censorship issue. Well, you can't use derogatory language on YouTube. Come to my site, you can use all the derogatory language you want. You can't show porn on YouTube. Come to this site and you can show as much porn as you want. Brett Keane has tried to sell me on sites like this. Other people have tried to sell me on sites like this. I've never been interested in it. I think that I think like content like this should be constrained a little bit, all right? It should be constrained, and I don't know. I do wish there was an alternate, but most of these people go to these alternate sites so they can be the true people they really are, and they'll like clean up shit for YouTube, and then push people over there to where they can really, radicalize them more into the extreme far right, or where they can show their true colors. And I'm never going to get on Rumble to see what CJ Cox is really saying or to see what the NIFB is really saying. Other people will do that. What they say on YouTube is bad enough. What they used to say on YouTube is far worse than what they say on YouTube now. But what they say on YouTube is bad enough. And I don't want to be sucked down those rabbit holes to where, like I said, like just getting on Facebook now and the Conservative Tribune or whatever right-wing site that Zuckerberg is trying to push at me comes up, and just reading those comments seeing that content is enough to really just not only send me into a state of anger, but into a perpetual despair for the country I live in, for the country who I've really come to believe, and this is one thing I can thank Donald Trump for. I've really come to believe in the idea of the country I live in, the idea that everybody is free, that everybody should have liberty, everybody should be equal under the law, everybody should have an equal shot at the American dream. Now, that is not the America of the reality that I have lived my entire life, but that is the idea of America, and I've really come to want that. You know, I've really come to want Americanism to be realized in its fullness, in its most glory. And I've even like posted on my Facebook recently, like I'm really gonna try to, you know, curb my ascent into what's considered, I guess, the max left now, and really like kind of pull that back, because I don't want to fundamentally change America. I just want America to fundamentally become what America was always supposed to be, what it always aspired to be. And I think that we really need to take the term patriot back, or utilize a different term that means the same thing, because to see fascists utilizing patriotism or the word patriot and calling it their own kind of drives me mad. And that's something like if we get past this and we get into like maybe a fascism talk, I've got the definition of fascism ready. I want to have a discussion about it. So I don't know how much of this we'll actually watch before we delve into other shit.
Our channel to take it down. It's a backup for us, right? If you actually like the Watchdog and our conservative political content, well, wouldn't it be nice to always have a place to go just in case YouTube decides to get a hair up their tuchus and return to the way that they had been doing things really up until like a year ago, right? It's actually
Rumble is okay. I've never been on it. I don't know much about it. I just know like people have tried to sit me there and I can say whatever the fuck I want, and like I'm not really interested in that. I like having a leash.
Freedom right now, comparatively to what YouTube was doing just like I said, like a year ago.
That would be like being able to play movies, because I am thinking about like starting like a reaction channel to movies and music and stuff like that. It would feature my daughter. She would be like the star of it, because it would mainly be like me showing movies that I love to her that she's never seen.
Guarantee that that's going to continue. In fact, I can guarantee that it won't continue. So there is that. So yeah, please consider subscribing to the Rumble, and yeah, that's pretty much all.
But I know like how most YouTubers do it is because you can stream movies on Patreon, so they start a Patreon, which, you know, like I'm not really interested in starting a Patreon again because I never really did anything with it. But if you're gonna have a channel like that, then you do your full movie reactions on Patreon, and then upload edited content onto YouTube. And that's some of my favorite content to watch on YouTube. Like if I'm super bored, I'm just gonna watch people react to movies or really like controversial songs. So yeah, that's like what I enjoy. I think I'd like making that content, but I'm not sure like if I would have time for like a second main channel dealing with something else, because what I enjoy most in life is learning, talking about politics and God. I find those to be the important conversations and the conversations I enjoy the most. I just wish that I hadn't spent so many years doing it so drunkenly.
We have for channel housekeeping went through all that stuff. So we have a lot of fascinating things to discuss today. We are going to be discussing a lot regarding the recent shooting in Minneapolis at Annunciation Church.
So I first want to start this as he's about to get into his spiel here. Like, I find it kind of disgusting that, like, right-wingers only really talk about these shootings if they think that it can fit their narrative of hate. If they think that it can fit their part in the culture war, right? They only care about school shootings when they can incorporate it into their culture wars, And I find that disgusting. They don't care about school shootings. CJ Cox, as far as I know, is still not a father, has no fucking stake in this game at all to this point in his life. And then once he does have a stake, if he ever does become a father, maybe he is. I've been gone a while. I don't really think he'll change his tune on it because most right wingers don't. Although I think that you are starting to see a shift. Like when Trey Gowdy comes out and it says, yeah, like the problem is guns and we probably should have done something on guns. Trey fucking Gowdy, when he's coming out saying that, I think that there is a shift. There's only going to be so long that, you know, the NRA are going to be able to buy politicians on this issue, especially when it's like little kids being shot. There's only so long you're going to be able to keep taking that blood money. I think the same goes on for the genocide in Gaza. Now, unfortunately, like, you know, I think before the moment comes in Gaza, the genocide will be complete. But like, you know, the longer it goes, the harder it will become for especially Democratic shows, but even right-wing shows, to justify taking Gaza money. And like the right wing is having a huge problem with Trump support for Israel on several different fronts, right? You've got the white supremacist neo-Nazi front, which he like is clearly trying to keep on his side. Like there's reporting out like they are identifying white supremacist tattoos and recruiting those people openly for ICE. So we have like a bunch of neo-Nazis and ICE, which is probably not a surprise to anybody. But like neo-Nazis really don't like his support for Israel because, you know, they're anti-Semitic. They don't like, you know, the fact that his daughter is Jewish. They don't like that he appears to placate the Jewish state. Some neo-Nazis do like Israel. I think you should point that out when talking of this issue. But it's not like they like Jewish people. They just like the fact that Israel is an ethnic state and they want their own. So they like Israel in that regard. But I started rambling, and that's something that I do because I smoke. And I'm still a little sick, and I forgot where I was going with all of that ramble, but I think it's all relevant. Yeah, so let's get into the hate. Let's get into the bigotry of these people, the fear of these people. It gets really tiring that these people are so afraid of themselves that they have to take that out on other people. If you want to dislike somebody in this world, there's plenty of reasons to find. I don't dislike CJ because he's a Christian. I really try to combat my own bigotries, you know, and I think I definitely have had Christian bigotry, Christian anger and animosity, Christian bigotry, but I'm trying to overlook that, and it's nothing to do with that. I truly am starting to dislike CJ because he's just not a good person. He's so afraid of himself that he wants to hate other people, and it's a shame because I used to really enjoy talking to CJ. You know, I used to really enjoy the dance with CJ. You know, like that dance, like, hey, I'm a great person, but I think we should have slavery. It was infuriatingly enjoyable. But it's not enjoyable anymore because he's not really dancing that line anymore, I don't think. But maybe I'll be proven wrong here.
Of course, Annunciation is a Catholic church. But obviously, despite our strong disagreements with Roman Catholicism, we in no way, shape, or form endorse or even are apathetic towards the shooting of a bunch of children in a Catholic school, or for that matter, the shooting of anybody, right? We don't want Catholics dying. That's not part of the point here. I only point that out just because there has been rhetoric going around that anti-Catholic propaganda, as they would put it, is partially to blame for this shooting. That's, of course, complete and total nonsense, but I figured I'd just get it out of the way right now. No, obviously, we don't. The fact that we have strong disagreements with you does not mean we want you or your children to be dying. This was an absolute tragedy, right? And we are going to be
I don't really get like anti-Catholic. From what I understand of the shooter, and I don't understand much. Like I said, it's really like hard to find like accurate information on the shooter. It seems, or maybe I'm just not really looking very hard. Been busy, been sick. You know, this laryngitis thing. A lot better today. But like what I know of this person, the social media posts that were taken down, this person really just wanted to see chaos in America and really wanted to be a school shooter. Really, you know, fantasized about it, idolized school shooters, which is like one of the problems of really like making these school shooters, you know, famous. You know, most people in America could name off the top of their head at least one of the Columbine shooters. It's usually going to be Claybald, right? I usually have a hard time remembering the other dude's name, but I remember Clayball. And these people get like their 15 minutes of fame, and then a subculture is going to really like idolize that. They're gonna want to be that. They're gonna want to have that 15 minutes of fame. And it's unfortunate. And you see these, this idolization and very odd parts of America. Like I said, being in prison, people would hunt you down just because you're an inmate. Try to be your pen pal, try to be your friend, try to find out how you committed your crimes, what crimes you committed. Got some kind of weird satisfaction from that, and to each their own, whatever their kink. But like, it just doesn't seem like maybe if you're gonna do that, maybe try to find better people. You know, like it was always hard for me to understand somebody that's gonna like want to commit crime and be in prison. Like, it's like the worst place. It's where you don't want to be. You know, serial killers. You know, Charlie Manson, Ted Bundy. All of them, they get their fan mail. They have their fans. They're people that idolize them. So, as far as I know about this person, like, they really idolized mass shooting. They wanted to watch the country go into chaos. Definite, like, white supremacy motivations, a hatred for Israel, definite hatred for Trump. But again, a lot of Nazis have hatred for Trump. And if you want, like, if you're gonna focus on the transgender issue, there's been a couple transgender shooters. There's been a female shooter. There's been an atheist or two that I can remember. But the very vast majority of shooters, mass shooters in America, are right-wing young white men. And we'll do a Google search here in a moment after he gets into his thing. We'll look at the information. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've been fed a lot of left-wing propaganda, a lot of fake news, and, you know, a simple Google search will prove me wrong. But I'm fairly certain we're going to find what everybody knows to be truth, which is, you know, if you really want to deal with what the root causes of gun violence in America, of mass shootings in America, you've got to deal with the root causes of it, right? And the root causes are young, right-wing white men and guns. Those are the root causes. In order to solve any problem, you've got to go to its root. And there's your root.
Talking about particularly the shooter. Before we get to that, though, I wanted to share with you a little controversial opinion of mine, right? Let me go ahead and get another drink of my water here. And my friends, this is not the kind of thing that should be a controversial opinion, but unfortunately it is.
So whatever this fucking opinion is going to be, it shouldn't be controversial because everybody should be fundamental bigoted Christians like he is essentially what he just said.
The year of our Lord 2025. We always talk about how we should not have transitioning. We should not allow transitioning for minors in this country, or frankly in any other country, right? And we talk about how we don't want drag queen story out.
You know, we always talk about meaning people that aren't trans, don't understand trans issues, don't understand what it's like to be a trans person growing up in this country, don't understand the family dynamics of a trans household. That's what he means by we. One. Two, these people that discuss these things really have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. And they're not coming from a place of like wanting to help people. They're coming from a place of wanting people to fit their idea of normalcy. You know, I could appreciate the sentiment at least if they actually wanted to help people, but that's not what they want. They want people to fit their ideas of normalcy. And if you're a cis white dude, it's really hard to wrap your brain around somebody that isn't a cis white dude. It's hard to understand it because you haven't lived that experience. It takes an awful amount of empathy to get there. And I understand it. Because I've never understood it a day in my fucking life. I'm a cis white dude. But the thing that I understand is it's not my issue. It's not my place to tell anybody what the fuck to do with their lives or how to feel comfortable in their own skin. I want everybody to have the liberty of expression that they choose to have. And when you're speaking about minors, you're usually often speaking about family dynamics of people making really hard decisions. Do people go to extremes with it? Yes. Yes, they do. Welcome to the human condition, CJ. You, my friend, are an example of somebody that has went to an extreme. Yourself. You are an example of that. You're going to go into an extreme in this video and try to paint, you know, school shootings and gender whatever together when that's not like any of the problem at all. And I've watched you do it on your Facebook page. I've commented on your Facebook page. Like, bro, what's going on? Like, baby Matt Powell. Like, this isn't the CJ Cox like I was talking to a year and a half ago, but maybe it always was. Maybe he was down there hiding. But you're an extreme. Most people, I don't think really want to like make people not be themselves. I think most people don't want to like take away people's civil liberty. Even most MAGA, once you get down to it, I think most MAGA that would tell you they would want to see that when it actually came time to do it, it's kind of like we're seeing with immigration now. Like all these MAGA that wanted to see every brown person in America gone or whatever, and now they're seeing like, no, like, I didn't mean Jose, my homeboy for 15 years, one of the hardest workers at my job. Like, man, we're gonna be fucked without that dude. You know, like you're seeing that like regret from most normal people, although, you know, you have your cultists that are the loudest and are going to speak the loudest, that are going to be in the comment section of that conservative Tribune and drive me absolutely batshit crazy. So it's, you know, if you want to pick on extremes, and I'm not even like leaving myself out of that, because fuck, I've been kind of an extremist. I was radicalized to extreme shit a long time ago, man. When Republicans were lying about the Iraq war, and I just started going farther and farther left, and you know, like I'm recognizing, you know, how my own radicalization pushes people away, and I've got to tone that down. I've got to take a step back if I really want to be effective. We've got to work with people that maybe don't share our same exact ideologies, but the same common goals. It's one of the things that's driving me crazy about the internet wars right now. It's like all the big time like fucking media makers on the left are just at each other's throats. It started with TYT, and I mean, and everybody kind of deserves everything. But it's not like uniting us to like defeat fascism. We're never going to be able to stop the genocide in Gaza as long as these fascists have control. Until we can get, we've already seen like the Democratic Party shifting to the left view on Gaza, but we've got to solidify. We've got to win the midterms. We've got to have some kind of checks and balances on the fascists, or we're never going to do anything. We're just going to be ruled and eventually weeded out. And I do hope to get to a fascist conversation today. I essentially got to 7:30, so we got plenty of time to get there, but let's continue.
Or we talk about how, all these different things that pertain to the transgender movement. When it comes to children, that should be a line. No, sorry, we're not allowed to do that. You can do whatever you want with your own body in your own home, but that should be a line.
I mean, I think it should be something that's seriously discussed in the household with doctors, the child, and when he's saying children, as far as I understand, it's like, you need to get some procedures done, some part, like hormone blockers, whatever you need to get done before puberty starts. Like you need to kind of postpone puberty until you're old enough to get the surgery that you need, right? To really have a chance to become what you envision, what you think you are. And it's hard for people that have always like had a clarity of mind, at least like with all of our dumb fuckery, to be like we are like these ignorant fucking monkeys with penises that want to stick it in everything that's dark and wet or whatever. And it literally is like the hot apple pie, all the crazy shit that comes along with being a straight white cis dude, and just male culture in America sucks. It really does. It really fucking does. But you're never gonna understand it. You're never gonna understand what it's like to be a different kind of person. Like I've been thinking a lot about culture, and like I've fought for culture on this channel for a long time, but like just having deep thoughts, like I've gotten more philosophical with my thought as I've learned more about philosophy and stuff, and just like I don't know, just like thinking, is it culture that really divides us? Is there a humanity in the future that's like one skin, one culture? Would we be better for that? I think we'd still find ways to divide and conquer, right? And I think once you realize that, it's fairly easy to kind of fight against it and just realize like everybody should have some kind of like just basic starting ground, right? Like just a basic starting ground. Doesn't mean you can't be a dick, an asshole, whatever fucking, way you want to think about a person, for whatever reason they're going to give you to think about them. But you start at that equal playing field, that we're all just basically human beings and we all have a chance. And it's hard because we all start with our biases and shit. Like as soon as I know like you're a fucking Trumper now, like it's really hard to break through my walls. So we're all guilty of this shit, right? But it's like, do we try to combat that within ourselves? Do we try to recognize that within ourselves? Or do we just roll with it? Like I know, like when I started spitting off, like, oh, I hope Donald Trump would fucking die and shit. Like that's not cool. That's not like being a good human being. That's becoming what I dislike most about Donald Trump. But at the same time, on the flip side of that, you got to play by their rules. You got to play by the rules of the game you're playing. So it's a kind of a conundrum of a clusterfuck that we all live in. A paradox of morality versus what wins. And they clearly think like trans is a winning issue for them. Because they are starting to understand that they've still got their evangelical claws in America. I think what they don't understand is like, you know, I think they think they're living like some kind of evangelical wet dream when Trump does the crazy shit, when he kicks trans people out, when Project 2025 like gives them a roadmap to like get rid of divorce, a roadmap to like, you know, get rid of gay marriage, get rid of possibly biracial marriage, get rid of civil rights, even get rid of women's right to vote, you know, and to them that's like an evangelical wet dream. But every single one of these evangelicals hate Catholics, and guess who's behind all of that shit? Guess who's the power behind all of that shit? It's not the evangelical fucking church, it's the Catholic Church. In fact, I was thinking about like one of my new channels that I watch. I just found it a few days ago, and I've been kind of watching it obsessively. Is a channel called Hysteria, and it's like two funny women. The stick is to kind of be funny with it, and they have this series called "This Fucking Guy" or "That Fucking Guy," and it's usually just this like really shitty person from the Trump admin or from the right or from like Silicon Valley. I just listened to one on Zuckerberg, and it's like this fucking guy, and they just go through the dude's entire past or the woman's entire past. It's a fucking great series. And I forgot like how I was gonna tie that together because but go check it out. We might catch one of them if I get bored and we're here long enough. Great fucking show, man. Right here on YouTube called Hysteria. Pretty big channel. The series is That Fucking Guy. It's fucking great, man. It's fucking great, bro. All right, man. I'm especially high and tired today. I took a nap and I can't wake up. It's my day off today. I got super tired. Took a nap. Can't wake up. And yeah, so now I'm like smoking this thing here, and it's making it even worse. But it's always been kind of bad. It's like you get to a certain age and it gets harder and harder to connect those dots. But you had one. You had a dot to connect to, but now it's just fucking gone, bro.
And my controversial opinion is I actually think that's the wrong fight to fight. I don't think we should ban transitioning for minors. I think we should ban transitioning. Like full stop, just the whole thing, right? The practice.
Full stop. Let's be a fascist. Like, I thought you were a libertarian, bro. Thought you didn't believe in big government. But you do believe in big government. Because you're like a fascist. That's why you defend and try to say fascism isn't fascism. It's like insanity. Like, me and CJ had a Facebook argument about fascism. He's like telling me I don't know what fascism is. I'm like, let's just pull up the definition. In fact, we'll do that right now. We'll take a little break. He wants to get into his transphobia. Like, ban all transition. Like, transgenderism will no longer be a thing. You'll have to just go back to just dressing in drag or you know, like no chance that you'll ever be the human being that you want to be, you yourself as a free American citizen with liberty, with individual liberty. No, not you. Not you. Ban it all. Wow. But yeah, you're going to argue about fascism. And it's like usually, like, if you're going to argue that fascism isn't fascism, it's probably because you're a fascist. So I just simple definition. You guys can see it there. Definition of fascism, AI overview. Kind of gives you an in-depth definition. It's usually like you can get into like the gist of it. Fascism, you know, we could use a Merriam-Webster, but we'll start here, and if people take offense with that, we'll go even deeper. Fascism is, now I've recently, like, just to kind of like seed ground, would be like, I don't think that you can be that. I think that you can be a fascist and be on the left, and I think that historically, like, people that pose as leftists have become fascists. But I think by definition standards that you really can't, you just can't, and we'll get into it. And yeah, like if you're gonna kind of like look at what the definition of fascism, and say that, well, fascism isn't fascism, your only excuse is to say, like somebody said to me earlier last week, that like it's the definition's wrong because the leftists, the socialists changed the definition, so now the definition's wrong. Well, then what's the definition? Whatever is not Trump. Right? Like that's pretty much what you get. But the definition is the fucking definition. Fascism is fucking fascism. Right? You can't really escape it. So we'll just go through it real quick, because I really wanted to make sure I did this today. I think it's important. And CJ Cox is one of these people that's going to espouse trans hate. It's because he's a fucking fascist, and he just displayed his fascism. He wants to ban the ability to transition, and I bet if you really asked him, he'd probably make it a crime. So fascism is a far-right, ultranationalist, authoritarian political ideology characterized by a dictatorial leader. Now, we'll stop right there. Far-right, ultranationalist, authoritarian political ideology characterized by a dictatorial leader. How is that not Donald Trump? I think we're as far right as we've ever been now, right? Like, pretty much Trump led with nationalism in his first term, really softened the blow. I'm a nationalist. You heard it at almost every other rally. They still, like, decry that. I'm a nationalist. Now, not every nationalist is a fascist. Some are just, like, I don't know, weird. But every fascist is a nationalist. Authoritarian political ideology characterized by a dictatorial leader. How is that not MAGA, the MAGA movement? Orange God, the You're Fired apprentice guy. Everything he says is true. Everything everybody else says is false. I can kill somebody on Fifth Avenue and get away with it. I've literally seen MAGA said, yeah, like dude could literally shoot somebody on my front porch and I'd still vote for him. Right, like, how is that not Donald Trump? A centralized government, as we move on into the definition. Definitely centralizing the government, acquisitions of intel, pretty much taking over the DOJ, taking over the intelligence apparatus, weaponizing politics, weaponizing the DOJ, weaponizing the National Guard, weaponizing the United States military. A centralized government. How is that not Donald Trump? Aggressive militarism, like, seriously, do I have to go into, we're now, like, just bombing boats indiscriminately coming out of Venezuela. We're threatening to make Canada the 51st state, threatening open war with Mexico, threatening war with Greenland, threatening war with pretty much every fucking buddy except for, like, our actual enemies. How is this not Donald Trump? Like, literally, how is it not Donald Trump? How is it not MAGA? Please, somebody explain it to me. That's not a fascist, because fascists are just going to say, nuh-uh, bro, you're stupid. You don't know what fascism is. And that's CJ Cox. That's CJ Cox to a T. Like, we had that argument on Facebook, and it's like, bro, like, you're smart enough to understand you're just being in bad faith because you're a fucking Nazi. You're a fascist. I shouldn't say Nazi, because not every fascist is a Nazi. Fascists are fascists. They come in different flavors. Good old coffee. Cold coffee. I need to pour myself a new one. So militarism and the suppression of opposition. We're not quite there yet, though he has really definitely been skipping stones across those waters, getting people ready for it. There's no other real reason to start, pushing your new paramilitary ICE force into blue states. no other reason for you to be pushing National Guards from southern red states into blue states, threatening actual military action. A military invasion of Chicago seems to be imminent. I have a interview with Governor Pritzker that he did on Midas Touch earlier today that we might be looking at today. How is it not fascism? How is this not Donald Trump? It prioritizes the interest of the nation above individual rights. Again, ultranationalism. We're kicking out legal immigrants, hard-working people that have contributed to this nation for decades, sending them to concentration camps in the worst parts of the world, some of the worst prisons in the world, countries that aren't like their home origins, no ties. Getting rid of female reproductive rights, even though most of the country didn't want that, still doesn't want it. Yeah, I think MAGA cares more about what they see the nation making America great again than individual rights of human beings. I think that's fair to say. How is that not Trump? Emphasizes national unity and decline. So every time, when it was Obama, worst economy ever, even though it was like Obama, when it came to the economy, actually was pretty good at what he did. Try to out Clinton. I don't think he did, but, the economy definitely rebounded after the damage of George Bush. But it's always decline. The last 4 years of Biden has been nothing but like just the decline of America. And now every time you hear, like, if it wasn't for me, if it wasn't for this, if it wasn't for MAGA, if it wasn't for, my people, what we're doing, then, America would have died. If it wasn't for me, California would be dead. Really like emphasizing national unity and how like the nation was going to die. But now he's here, the great dictator, to save everything. To be right about everything. I mean, literally wearing a hat that says Trump was right about everything. Often incorporates racial or religious nationalism and elitism. Project 2025, again, written by very, very warped Catholics. Like, they pick and choose their Catholicism. Don't really care much about, like, feeding the poor, but definitely care about like getting rich and consolidating power. How is this not Trump? Key features include a rejection of democracy, communism, socialism, pluralism. Like, these are fascists, and they want to be fascist. They want to do fascist things. And CJ Cox, I'm not sure if he's still trying to put that like happy face to it, right? I don't know if he tries to pretend to do that anymore, but don't give him that grace. Don't give him that grace.
As a whole, needs to be made illegal, whether it be for minors, which of course is especially pertinent, or if it be for fully grown adults. You should not have a right. First off, there's no such thing as transitioning. Let's just get that out of the way. Okay, you cannot possibly transition from a male to a female or from a female to a male. It's not possible. Can't happen. Can't be done. You're either a male or a female. You are what you were born. There's a very rare minority of people who could be labeled intersex. But they are such a small and minute number in the general population that we're not going to address that matter here at this current stage in the conversation, right? Nor could I, frankly, because I'm not a medical doctor. And I know very little about what it means to be intersex or anything like that. That being said, transgenderism is a affront against nature. It is an affront against God. It is a demonstration of, at best, severe delusion and mental illness, and at worst, depravity, and evil, which is another thing I feel the need.
So, like, do you think he knows a single transgender person, like, really knows what, like, is he an expert psychologist? Has he put any effort to learning about gender dysmorphia? Has he made any effort into getting to know any trans person ever? Or is he just talking out of his asshole because he's so intimidated by something he's just not intelligent enough to understand, and that pisses the fuck out of him. Like, that really eats at his gut. I don't understand it. I don't understand why we have to, like, wish the worst on people before we even know anything about them. I don't get that. I mean, I used to be that way, but I can't remember really being that way. I can't put myself there anymore. And it's sad. It's sad when you watch, I don't know, a young person kind of descent more and more into, like, this crazy extremist shit. And we're all capable of that descent. I mean, all of us are capable of that descent. All of us are capable of being misled, manipulated, thinking we're getting fonts of truth when we're just being brain rotted. All of us are capable of that. It happens to all of us, some fashion or another. We all have misinformation up here. We all have, even those of us that have, like, struggled our hardest to, like, overcome a lot of, like, childhood indoctrinations and shit. We still have stuff that we weren't even aware of to try to fight, you know? So it's like, the only thing you can do is try to be the best human being you can be. Try to come from a place of, like, it can even be like a place of genuine shittiness. Like, all human beings are equally shitty until they prove otherwise. I like to think of it the reverse of that. Like, all human beings have an equal starting point, right? And if you just have, like, a lot of bad ideas, if you have a lot of bad bigotries, like, you're not a human being I want to be around. You're a human being I either want to change, or you're a human being that it's bad enough that you might need to be ostracized, or maybe even bad enough that you need to be, like, put in the prison they put me in when I was dangerous to society. So, you know, that's kind of how I look at it. But you can look at it however you want. Just come from, like, this equal playing field of, you're a human being, I haven't met you, let me learn about you, and then I'll decide. Not, oh, you're trans, well, you're demon spawn, and you're delusional, and you're fucking crazy, and you're just the other. Because I'm so insignificant, even to myself, that I must other you. I must make you what I feel I am. It's pathetic. It's weak. It's Matt Powell.
Need to clarify here. We always talk about, well, these people are just severely mentally distressed.
It's kind of weird.
I have no doubt that that's true for some. But we do this thing very often as humans where we want to explain people's bizarre behavior by means of some sort of defection, right? Like, for example, we'll say, you know, when we look at Jeffrey Dahmer, it's like something must have been wrong with him. He must have been insane somehow. And that's why he did the horrible things that he did. And the reality is, no, not really, actually. He's a fairly normal, lucid, sane guy who also happens to be diabolically evil, right? And I think a very similar thing could be said as it pertains to the transgender issue. I think a lot of transgender people, it's not that they're insane. It's not that they're delusional. Obviously, they have delusions, right? But we're just sitting here ignoring the very real possibility that a large number of these people are simply evil. And it's that simple. They simply want to rebel against God and against the Creator.
Sometimes I just tune out hatred. They want to rebel against God. Like, no, they want to be themselves. They want to be the person they've always thought they were, and they're trying to find that. And I can't imagine that journey. I wish them well in it. But I kind of just like tune out hatred sometimes. I've heard it so much. God gives you no authority to be an asshole. Like, because you believe in God gives you no authority to be an asshole. Just like, you know, because I don't believe in a God doesn't give me an authority to be an asshole to you. I need a good reason for that. And you're giving it to me over and over again. You gave it to me in that debate about how America needs to adopt biblical slavery. And I was drunk. I don't really remember much of the debate. Shouldn't have been drunk for that debate. I remember getting so mad, like I've flung, which I don't think I was drunk. I think I was drinking beer. But I remember flinging my fucking headphones. Like I just couldn't listen anymore. So all of that being said, because I tuned out the hatred, the best idea I ever had was an idea that I finally had about a year and a half ago, maybe. Like, you know, keep the coffee pot next to the computer. And then you just don't have to get up to get coffee every 35 minutes. Like, that is brilliance that I can't take credit for myself. It was my idea, but I'm sure like other people have had the idea before me. And if you have, you sir, or you ma'am, or you, whatever you think of yourself, are a genius, just like me. It just took me a little longer.
In order. And I think that's a much more likely explanation for the rise in transgenderism than some sort of...
You know, like, the only one I've ever really had a problem with, and me and Allie both, like, we had many discussions. I think we ultimately ended up taking down the stream. I think right now the stream is actually back up. It was this conversation we had with, I can't remember the guy's name, but it was like his wife. And she was Muslim. And I still really never figured out, like, we'll probably be watching at least some of it when I decide whether or not I'm going to delete it. Once we get there in that whole process. We never really decided, and I still haven't decided if it was a troll, the entire conversation. But she, you know, her pronouns were it. And we both were just like, oh, this one is a conundrum. And it was a hard conversation. And I think we eventually privated the stream. And now it's like, it's going to be part of the process. Are we going to delete the stream? And it's like, when we privated the stream, it was like a punt. And then Allie was gone, and I haven't thought about it until I saw it, like, doing the shit that I was doing last week. And it kind of reminded me, oh, yeah, now the punt has come to its conclusion, because I'm going to have to really make a determination about that one. And it was a really hard discussion. And I think it was an intentional conversation on their part. Yeah, that one was fucked up.
You know, nationwide identity crisis or nationwide battle with mental illness. I think it's an example of what Romans 1 talks about when it says God turned them over to a reprobate mind. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. They decided to worship the creation rather than the creator. And so God turns them over to a debased and decrepit mind. And that is exactly what you have taking place in the United States of America and, frankly, all across the Western world, right? But back here to the point I'm making, I don't understand why we think it should be legal to transition in the first place. People say, well, people should have a right to do whatever they wish. Well, no, that's not true, because heroin's illegal, right? None of us thinks that you should have a right to inject yourself with heroin, and yet that's a liberty technically that we're taking away from some people.
I mean, sure we do. I mean, it's not heroin. It's not like the street version of the drug, but we inject people with morphine. We inject people with stronger versions of opium than you will find than heroin. You know, Dilaudid. It's like pure fucking opiate, right? Like, I mean, sure we do. Sure, it's okay to do that in certain situations. Like if you're If you're a cancer patient about to die, I mean, you're going to need that Dilaudid, right? I mean, this is just a really stupid argument. And actually, like, again, for a person that claims to be a libertarian, it's a very libertarian position to think that you should legalize all drugs. There shouldn't be any policing of any drugs. There shouldn't be any policing really at all. So again, like, a lot of these libertarians that pretend to have this political philosophy don't really understand the political philosophy, and it kind of shows just their political grift for what it is. It's all about Christian nationalism, their form of Christianity. It's the same thing that Smokies does. It's these people don't think of Christianity the way that I do, or these people don't conform to the Christian world that I want to see, so we're going to force people to do that. It's Christian fascism. And that's why it's so easy for them to defend fascism. It's this sickness in America, this melding of that age-old American white supremacy with the American Confederacy, white supremacy, and a melding of all of that into what was the 2016 alt-right meme war, solidifying a core base of hatred to completely change the face of America. Like, I was talking about this 4 years ago, about how these Christian nationalist movements, the Quiverful movement, were trying to take over the government. And here we are. And people like C.J. Cox really feel emboldened now to show their true faces and be like, yes, let's do this thing. So yeah, I think I don't even know what he does anymore. I think he kind of escaped into his little box of fundamentalism. I don't know if he argues with other Christians anymore. Seems like he hangs out with that, like, biblical Kevin dude who is like a complete douchebag. Excuse me. Yeah, the couple conversations I had with that guy didn't go quite very well. Piece of shit. All of these people are bad faith. They'll claim to be American. They'll claim to be patriots. But they don't believe in the American ideal. They don't believe liberty for all. They believe liberty for white men, liberty for white Christian men. If C.J. Cox believes this about transgender people, what does he really believe about atheists, about blasphemy? Should we be locked up as well in C.J. Cox America? Land of the free, if you're white. Land of the brave, Christian brave. Land of the two genders, because we say so. It's like weak-minded, right? Like, they want to say, oh, we're woke or whatever. It's just like, no, it's called civil rights. It's called American independence, individual liberty, and freedom and justice for all. Those American ideals you're supposed to stand for if you want to take that moniker of patriot. But they take all things and twist it, right? Donald Trump wants to make burning the American flag illegal, unconstitutional. I think even his, extreme Supreme Court is going to find his action unconstitutional. But at the same time, they want to stop defacing the American flag. It's him and his people that deface it every day by putting his fucking picture on it, or MAGA on it, or changing it for this reason or that, or putting it next to a Confederate flag, or next to a Nazi flag. They're the ones truly defacing the American flag, but they have the First Amendment right to do that. They do. That's why you saw the first person protesting that wasn't some far leftist. It was an old military vet, libertarian dude probably. waiting for that law to pass so he could be there to burn that flag and get arrested proudly for doing so. A real libertarian that kind of probably truly actually understands the political philosophy behind that moniker of libertarian. Like so many of these fake ass libertarians just don't seem to fucking understand it all. These are the ones that were supposed to be like the first defense against a tyrannical government. As I see one of those like stink bugs that always, I call them stink bugs. I don't know what they're really called, but they infest Michigan about this time of year once it's turning into fall. And it just like flew out of nowhere, so I got to do something about that. It's going to drive me fucking batshit crazy. So I'm going to do something about that. I'll be right back, and we'll let him spew his hate.
Right? So clearly the vast majority of us don't mean that when we say liberty. Okay, well, you should have the right to have autonomy over your own body. Well, again,
I don't know what I said that you're telling me he didn't say, Brady, but he's like clearly saying like no trans people or whatever. Ban transgenders. Ban the ability to become trans. It should be illegal to be trans. I don't know what you're hearing, but that's what I'm hearing.
Heroin example, right? You should have the right to determine your own path. Nobody should interfere with your will as it pertains to your own path. And again, I could just list another drug example, but I could list plenty of other examples as well, like polygamy, you know what I mean? And various things that we have made illegal that don't actually impact, at least not in a direct way, people outside of the A and B parties involved, right? So clearly none of those arguments actually work. And we can make a fairly convincing case that transgenderism is both a detriment to the person and a detriment to society. We know, for example, that there is a massive uptick in violence, mass shootings in particular, being perpetrated by transgender individuals, right? And frankly, I should use a different terminology because as we said, transition.
And I had the fucking thing, and I lost the fucking thing, and it blended in with the floor, now I lost it. And it's going to drive me insane. I don't even know how these fucking things get in here. They get into every home that I've lived in for like, I don't know, the past 5 or 6 years. I don't even think they're from Michigan. I think it's some like infestation from out of state. Like, I don't even think they come from like America. I think they're from overseas. But yeah, now like Michigan's infested with them, and I don't even know how the fuck they get in. It's probably because they're like so flat that they can just get through fucking anything. And it drives me insane. Last year wasn't so bad. So I was like, maybe it's starting to... get better. And this year it's been the beginning of the summer. It's usually like the season change. It gets really fucking bad.
It's not a thing that could happen. So we should say gender confused, maybe, at best, right? Cross-dressers, if you like. They're an active threat
I need to pay
society
attention.
In that they
I'm not
try
sure what
to
he
pervert
said,
our children.
Marty.
They're an active...
Maybe I should go back. Like, yeah, it seems like a spew of hate. It's probably why he's only got 90 subscribers, because, like, I just don't think this many people, like really, if you look at the polls, like, most people in America just want people to be able to be themselves. They don't want to ban trans people. Most people in America, I don't think, are evil. They just, they have these old bigotries. But this is evil. This is just like, this is beyond that. This is beyond like most people in America, right? And that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's really disappointing because I really used to like CJ. I really used to enjoy talking to CJ. He was one of the few people back then, especially during the whole like Smokey bullshit, when it seemed like most Christians I was talking to was like, here, we'll turn this back on because I'm not going to find this fucking thing. I'm not going to find it. Most Christians I was talking to back then were like really shitty, and he just seemed like he really enjoyed conversations, and I think he stopped like coming in. I think he stopped coming in because the dog pile, the way those rooms were set up, and it was unfortunate because I enjoyed talking to him. So it's really sad to see him descend into this, and he always kind of showed signs of it. Like again, like that debate where he's just like, America should adopt biblical slavery, non-chattel slavery, and it's like, dude, we've been there, we've done that, right? Like in like the issue of labor isn't that, you know, we need cheaper labor. The issue of labor is they're about to use the cheapest labor they can get, and that's going to be thinking machines. They're already, I mean, it's already starting to happen. Like, human labor is going to be replaced, and what the fuck is most humans going to do? Owner class will be fine. But what are most humans going to do? What is CJ Cox going to do? You know, but he wants to worry about Christian nationalism and, you know, I don't know how far are we going to take this biblical law bullshit. You know, like, are we going to be stoning wives that cheat on their husbands? Are we going to be allowing husbands to have that ultimate handle, patriarchal handle on the household again? You know, keep their wives in line? Are husbands going to be able to spank their wives like back in the day? I mean, how far are we going to take this biblical shit? How far do we need to be a Christian America? Are we going to have blasphemy laws as it was so just like put out there to applause in the Mehdi Hassan debate on Jubilee? Like, how far are we do these people want to take it? These uber Catholics, these uber hyper evangelical Christians. How far are these people going to take it? Let's see what my phone's going crazy. People are leaving. People are coming. It's already 6 o'clock. I should be going to bed soon. Not looking forward to tomorrow at work. We'll see how it goes. I don't know if I want to listen. I don't think we need. Do we even need to listen to any more of this shit? Right? Like, it's such a disappointment. CJ, it's such a fucking disappointment. Key characteristics of fascism: authoritarianism, power is concentrated in a centralized dictatorial leader and a single political party. So we've already seen, like, Trump has been wading the waters with criminalizing the Democratic Party, calling them terrorists. Stephen Miller came out and called the Democratic Party a terrorist organization. They're really trying to get a stranglehold on authoritarianism, trying to shore up political victory, to make it a guarantee, and squeeze out on the national level to begin, and then that will trickle to the local and state level. Squeeze out the opposition party. Now, the opposition party is a corporate, moderate party. I would call the Democratic Party, as it is today, as it has been, the Republican Party of probably like the 1970s. Something along those lines, like a really moderate right-wing party, corporate, losing more and more touch with the common working person in America. The Democratic Party and the state of the Democratic Party now is complete disarray, a complete jumbled mess. The left fighting with the right. It's been going on since before Donald Trump won the election. It's been going on since during the campaign. It's been going on for several election cycles. I've spoken about it. I've always kind of swallowed my vomit and cast my vote. Always saying, like, I probably shouldn't be voting for the Democratic nominee. The Democrats don't listen to the left of their party. They're only really interested in their corporate donors and towing the corporate line. They're not interested in fighting Republicans at all, at fighting for policies that that American people want. So I understand it, and the Democratic Party is just, it's in disarray. So it's like if Trump can really like keep healthy enough to solidify his authoritarian rule, like the opposition is ripe for the taking, and it's very scary to think about. The ultranationalism, again, like that was like his opening salvos in his fascist playbook back in the first term, really normalizing the term nationalism for his base, for his movement. And that's like just the base core of what fascism is now, of what it is, of the movement. It's get people hyper focused on the country and how the country should be. Now, how the country should be is a subjective interpretation of each and every human being in this country, each and every citizen and non-citizen alike. Militarism, again, I think that goes without saying. In fact, we're going to go ahead and skip over. We'll check out this Pritzker interview on Midas Touch earlier, because it does seem like the invasion of Chicago is imminent, and ICE is already ramping up their presence. And Pritzker lays out the strategy. This is the fascist strategy to really put the hammer down on the opposition's chances at winning elections.
Let's bring in Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois. Governor, it's great to see you. What's the latest right now that you can report on what's going on?
Well, it appears that they are amassing the ICE officers at the Great Lakes Naval Base.
I don't really have it set up to share a link. Like, I'm finding out like the compromise to be able to open a StreamYard before I do these streams and have a link that I can share would be to like use the video feed from StreamYard, and the video feed from StreamYard, I'm not paying like the outrageous amount of money to have a decent feed from StreamYard. So like if I want to have a good clear video feed for these things, then I can't really have it set up right now. I can't open it up now to have a link to throw out.
Along with some military vehicles. It's been reported that there are about 300 of those officers that are planning on coming in and doing what they did in Los Angeles, which is terrorize the neighborhoods and cause mayhem. They're hoping in the end, their plan is to cause enough mayhem on the ground that they'll have to call in troops to protect the ICE officials. So that's what their aim is. It's not actually to effectuate removal of violent criminals. So, what they're doing is dangerous. What they're doing is un-American. And the idea that you're going to call military troops in to an American city, you can't fathom it. You couldn't make this up, but here it is. And the question I think for all of us is, are we going to stand up and let it and push back, or are we just going to let it happen?
All right. So he's saying, it's pretty much the same strategy as LA. You send a force of a few hundred ICE agents, and he's going to lay it out. It's the same ICE agents that were utilized in LA, led by the same person, same agents. They're going to be doing the same things. Pretty much going through the neighborhoods, harassing people's neighbors, harassing people, making it a hell for everybody in Chicago. It could be like Chicago gangs are a different breed. Like I thought it would pop off in DC, and it seems like, the natural inclination, like if there's military in your streets, is you're just not going to probably go out much. You're probably not going to do the same shit. You're going to wait it out. And maybe that'll happen in Chicago. Like Chicago's can be a beast. So I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it's going to go if they're going to go through these neighborhoods. I hope everybody's safe, man. I hope everybody does what they need to do to keep their families safe, because we have a fascist government that's hell-bent on waging war against American citizens. And we have a lot of American citizens that are really cool with that. It's kind of what I've been saying all along. People call me crazy or an extremist or whatever, but it's the reality now. And then how long before it's your city if you live in what's considered a blue city or a blue state? How long before they expand outside of the cities? How long before we're in just this big military state? Like, why else are you going to spend so many hundreds of billions of dollars on this new paramilitary force that seems to be, you know, a branch of the executive government? It seems like we have the biggest government in the history of the nation right now under a Republican Party that always said they were for small government. Imagine that. Imagine that hypocrisy. All right, my daughter's coming up. We're going to kind of listen to this for a while. Welcome to the fascist America, y'all. We're chilling in the fascist America. Y'all are chilling with me. Hit that bowl until they tell you you can't no more. Let me just a second. Let me find my video. I got so much shit. It's like hard to find it. It's really fucking hard to find it. There it is. All right.
And at least in Chicago, I think there's a common belief that I think people will protest peacefully. I've encouraged people to get out their iPhones and their Android devices and film everything they see from the ICE officials. And then we've made sure that people on the streets know their rights. I'm talking about the people who are being gone after just because of the color of their skin. They're being targeted by ICE, or whether they've got an accent when they speak. And some of them are American citizens. Some of them are people who've been here for decades, raising families, holding down jobs, paying taxes. These are good people, and they're under attack by ICE and maybe soon by military troops.
So a two-phase plan that they have right away. And could you imagine in September 2020?
So same game plan as LA. You send in ICE. It causes a disturbance. The president can then say, well, I have no choice. Got to send in the National Guard. Or got to send in the military, the Marines. I had no choice. They're attacking my lovely neo-Nazi ICE agents. It's the playbook. And so they'll send in this force of ICE agents. The sole purpose will be to create unrest. Therefore, you have the excuse to send in the invasion force you've been prepping in the Pentagon the last month or so. It's a war on American citizens. This is everything almost every sane Trumper said wouldn't happen, that they wouldn't support it if it did happen. And now they are masturbating in their chairs as they watch the coverage on Fox News, getting truly owning the libs for the first time in their long, long lives, coming in their hands, the sick bastards.
25, we're talking about the federal government with a military invasion plan in a state in Illinois in the United States of America. And the plan, as you describe it, is ICE builds up, terrorize.
How are you going to get paid more? You think they're going to pay you more? You silly person. You think they're going to pay you more? Have they paid you more? Income isn't going up. Prices are. Gas is. Income ain't. They're not going to pay you anything. In fact, they'll probably pay you less. Did they give you a tax break? Probably not. If they did, it was insignificant. All the money went to the top. The great distribution of wealth that you right-wingers talk about, us socialists want so much. And we did. We wanted a rebalancing of wealth at the least. It wasn't asking too much. We wanted to raise your income. But you said, no, that's socialism. But that great redistribution of wealth, it happened. It happened under Trump. And it all went to the top. All of it. You've been robbed, my friend. And you've been fooled. And you won't take my word for it. It'll take you a couple years, probably not that long, but let's say a couple years for you to really feel it, and then you'll deny it. It's a psychological thing. But you're so foolish, so very foolish.
Is the city, try to provoke people, then declare an emergency, then bring in military force, call in the National Guard, call in the Marines, and then occupy Chicago, occupy maybe even other parts of the state, and literally have an invasion. Am I, when I use language like
my kid's
that,
in and out.
am I being hyperbolic, or is that what's happening?
She's just not leaving again.
It's an invasion. If they send American troops into an American city, it's an invasion.
In a minute.
I want to point out that, you know, the ICE folks that are showing up here are being led by the same guy. In fact,
well, you know, I find it like, you know, you guys, you know, you don't mind the shit that your kids hear, right? I bet CJ Cox wouldn't mind like his kids hearing the bullshit he was spewing just now. I do try to make an attempt that she doesn't hear some of my more divisive rhetoric. I don't really think she has a politic, not yet. I think she knows that like Trump isn't for her, but I don't know, because I think her mom might be a pro-Trump. Her mom doesn't talk politics with me.
The people that are showing up are the same people that were in Los Angeles, same exact people. And Gregory Bovino is the name of the lead ICE officer who is bringing these ICE.
Yeah, this room I'm in is like a small little room. There's a couple bunk beds here, and we keep a lot of our stuff up here. I keep my computer up here. So I don't know. Hopefully one day I'll get it out of this room and I can have more room to work with. But yeah, a lot of our stuff's up here. So right now she's getting stuff she needs for school.
To Chicago.
She'll be back up in a minute.
You know, this is a guy who has an account on X, on Twitter, where he extols the virtues of tackling people and, you know, putting their, you know, his knee on their head, or, you know, chasing down people who've thrown a sandwich at an ICE officer. And, you know, this guy, honestly, he is ready-made for reality TV, which is what Donald Trump loves. And so that's what he's going to be doing on the ground. Remember when they first came into Chicago, Tom Homan, by the way, who appears like he's got a problem. He's mumbling. He can barely get words out of his mouth now. It seems to be a problem that Donald Trump shares with him too. But you know, they are saying essentially that, you know, they want this kind of reality TV show look. When they first came, they brought Dr. Phil with them. Dr. Phil, this is on like the first days of the Trump administration, coming into Chicago, attacking our neighborhoods, Pilsen, Little Village, taking on our Latino community and immigrants. And, you know, they're doing it with social media promoters. So this is what they're all about. It's the show so that Donald Trump can get his narcissistic aims met.
Bone-jarring potholes, cars falling apart, jobs at risk. As Lansing wastes time, you pay the price. Tell your legislators to fund our roads or hit the highway.
Stop it. Skip. And so this is fascinating. It's fascinating to see the people like defend it. It's one of the reasons why I'm like losing my shit. How long before, you know, like, how long did it take in Nazi Germany for the Gestapo, you know, for them to get rid of all the opposition and for the Gestapo to really start focusing on the population and the opposition there, right? Something I don't know about Nazi Germany, fascist Italy. Something I probably need to learn. I think, you know, our last chance is what, 2028 midterms. Looks like right now the way it should go is massive victories for Democrats. Will they actually oppose a dictator? Who knows? It depends on which Democrats get elected, I suppose. But it is fascinating to see, like, even here on my small channel, you have the fascists in the side chat defending the fascism, thinking they're going to be okay. But they never are. It's not the populations that benefit from fascism. It's the oligarchs. It's the politicians. It's the leaders of the movement. Silly sheeple. Politics are for adults. I mean, at least understand your political ideology of fascism, so you know what you're doing, right? You should be taking notes. You should be like drawing pictures of my face to give to the Gestapo when they come to your door, the loyal patriot that you are, as you turn on your fellow Americans and betray your country. How does it feel to be a traitor? I wonder. How does it feel to be a traitor? I'd imagine it wouldn't feel so great, but I don't know. I wouldn't know.
In California, that the policing functions of the military violates the Posse Comitatus Act. Is there legal action on the horizon? If someone were to say to a person, I'm going to kill you, you could get a restraining order against them and it's like a TRO. Trump is saying, I'm going to do the equivalent. I'm coming into your city. I'm going to use them as police force. He's saying it. The Department of Homeland Security realizes that Trump's saying it wrong and giving away the game plan. So they try to use a little different word. No, it's the federal buildings, but we all know what they're actually trying to do. Could there be a preemptive posse comitatus injunctive relief type action, or do you have to wait until they actually do it? What happens there on the legal front?
So you can't do a preemptive suit. What you can do is the moment they sort of trip the wire, and actually do something that we know is unconstitutional. And according to that ruling that you're referring to in California, where they're attempting to do law enforcement, I'm talking about troops now, doing law enforcement. That is when you can, we are ready. We are going into court immediately when they trip that wire. So we know what's coming. We will do that. We have been also preparing the communities. People who just need to know their rights. They got to know that an administrative warrant does not allow someone from ICE to break down your door to arrest you. ICE will grab people off the streets, but they can't break into your home and get you unless they have a judicial warrant. And then, that's that we will honor that they have a.
I mean, I don't even see how they can grab people off the streets. Like, it's like the MAGA base doesn't understand itself, right? Or the only thing they understand about themselves is the inconsistency of themselves. Because, like, Donald Trump's core platform, his victory, was a denunciation of George Bush and George Bush's policies. And MAGA glorified him for that. And since he's done that, he's been known falsely as being this, anti-war president when he starts more wars than anybody. He's more aggressive than anybody in war. Just does stupid shit for no reason. Dropping Moab, no reason. Just wanted to see it go bang, stupid shit. But he ran on that, this anti-Trump policy, anti-Bush era policy rhetoric, but is utilizing, and his people are now justifying his fascism with the Patriot Act. This is Patriot Act shit, bro. Totally legal. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do about it, bro? Just not understanding the total hypocrisy of themselves, or why they're the basket of deplorables that they are. It's truly laughable. Truly laughable. If it wasn't so just scary, and if they didn't win, and didn't have all the power, and didn't have this huge Gestapo that they're building with hundreds of billions of dollars, this huge police force for the President of the United States. And they call themselves patriots. They should be ashamed. They should be ashamed of themselves because they're traitors. This is all just betraying America. And it's sad. It makes me a very sad person. And I think that's sad and angry. And so how can you be a Taoist in this, man? I don't know. How can you be, a steady rock in the flow of the river in this? How can you just take inaction in this, which is a tenet of Taoism? This is the things that I struggle with when I'm thinking of Taoism and the philosophies of it. I struggle most with the philosophy of inaction. I don't think I understand it correctly because I don't think it means what I think it means. I don't think it means what you think it means when you think inaction. But I don't know. That's a me thing, I guess. Let's continue.
Right to do, as they do with any criminals that they go after. But they're not getting those. They're just using administrative warrants. And you know what an administrative warrant is? It's an ICE officer basically just signing a piece of paper.
Yeah, Brady, you're just like a stupid person, right? You're just a troll, I'm assuming. You were nice like the first couple of streams that I saw, but now you're true. I think I remember you from before.
And that says he thinks that he should be able to arrest somebody.
Other times, maybe
a
maybe
prosecutor, a defense
we like trolls.
Attorney, a judge. Nobody in a court situation, but only the ICE officer who's not trained to issue warrants now has the ability to do that under our current immigration laws. So it's a dangerous situation where you're essentially letting Tom Homan and Gregory Bovino make the rules for themselves, and we're pushing back on that. So we're making sure everybody knows their rights. We're making sure that we're ready to go to court immediately to stop them from doing anything unconstitutional. And we're encouraging people that are going to come out and protest to do so peacefully, and also to bring their cameras, because making sure that the folks like you and other people on social media and other people in the mainstream media have the actual video of what Gregory Bovino and ICE are really doing on the ground to incite violence.
Michigan homeowners, if you're tired of paying too much money for electricity and have a history of paying your bills
now to the White House, not a day goes by where Trump doesn't mention you. I mean, I see every one of those press conferences. He brings you up. He posts things about you on social media every single day. And some of them are so ridiculous that it's like, it's frankly embarrassing to the United States of America and throughout the world with the stuff that he does. But what's your message over to them right now as we're here September 4th, 2025 on the eve of a potential invasion of Illinois?
My message is don't come to Chicago. Don't bring troops, military troops, to the streets of an American city. Don't do it. We will go to court to stop you, and the people of Chicago won't stand for it, and the people of America won't stand for it. You've seen the polling data. The vast majority of Americans do not want American troops in American cities. That's not where they belong. They belong protecting our borders and protecting our country from foreign invasion and from foreign wars. We have sent our National Guard to fight for us, to protect us in the Middle East and elsewhere, in Europe and Asia. They do that regularly. That's what they're trained to do. They're not trained to do civilian law enforcement. I want FBI. I want ATF, DEA. We're fighting drugs and gangs and guns every day on the streets. And I want civilian law enforcement from the federal government as well as our state government and local law enforcement to work together.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if you were really going to do this from like a federal crackdown on crime in America, those are the tools you'd be utilizing. You'd be utilizing your federal police forces, your ATF, your FBI, forces that are used to and already have lines of communication with local police forces. Like, if you really wanted to do a crackdown on crime and drugs or whatever it is, that's how you would go about it. But again, these are all staged excuses to have military whom Donald Trump thinks that, like, these soldiers are going to follow his fascist orders. I'm sure some of them will, and I'm sure some of them won't. So I mean, we're coming to it now, and we just, at this point, like, it shouldn't even be like a partisan thing. Like, it shouldn't be like, you know, a right or left, Republican or Democrat thing, man. Like, the Republicans used to, you know, run away from the neo-Nazis that tried to align with them. They didn't embrace them, and they didn't become them. Like, it's time now. It's time to wake up. It's time to stop accepting this shit just because you think you're owning the libs, or Donald Trump is going to, like, restore white America in the great replacement theory, right? Like the great replacement of the white man in America. It's time to wake up. This isn't America. It's not what it's supposed to be. If you're an American, if you're a patriot, this isn't how you're supposed to think. Do we disagree? Yes. Do we lock each other in prisons for it? No, we don't. And for so long, they told you that's what we wanted to do to you. That we wanted to confine you. That we were blocking your social media sites and pushing our left-wing propaganda. And now that's all that's happening is just like right-wing propaganda being pushed at everybody. Everybody that's not asking for it. Everything you said that we were doing, you guys are doing now. You're doing it. It wasn't the communists in George Orwell's 1984. It was the MAGA movement. You must listen to what the party tells you now. You are the party now. You are the one party, the one mind, the one thought.
To make sure that we're reducing crime. By the way, we've reduced crime significantly in the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois. We are in the bottom half in terms of, high violent crime of the states, right? We're 19th best in the country. I'd like to be first best in the country. But 19th is way better than the president is indicating. And the city of Chicago isn't even in the top 25 most dangerous violent crime cities. So he needs to do a little reading. I know he doesn't do much of that. And instead, maybe someone can inform him of what the facts are. But he seems a little obsessed with me and with Chicago. Maybe he's got Pritzker derangement syndrome. But maybe, again, he could just, take a beat, learn a few things, and focus elsewhere, maybe on protecting the country from the axis of evil that is beginning to form between China, Russia, North Korea, and they're drawing in India now.
Let me show you how I turned $2,000 into $30,000 using tax lien real estate investing. This is the type of real estate investment that only
blackness of my
requires
screen
as little as a few
didn't
$100s
transcribe
down.
to
Doesn't
the.
require me to deal with
That's
tenants or
interesting.
rehabs.
You see that, right? As he's doing.
So, like, my screen has like a short in it, and usually I have it right, and it doesn't go out on me usually, but today it just blacks out. And it, like, I had it good before the stream, and that's the first time it blacked out on me the whole stream. But it didn't black out during the ad. So I guess that's a good thing, as long as it doesn't completely, like, short out. But, like, yeah, man, I really need a new computer. At least, like, I got to start with a couple new monitors. Because both of my monitors suck. Neither really, like, I really have to work with them to get them working to where they stay on now. I've had them for... like, I don't know, 5 years now. Like, it seems a long time since Ali first joined the channel. The computer was a pretty decent computer when I bought it. Now it's completely outdated. It's on its deathbed. The monitors are dying. I need a new computer.
These types of things right here, the world leaders were out there literally like laughing at him in Tianjin. And I'm sitting here as an American saying, our leaders out there posting this weird stuff, and he's behaving in this way in the Oval Office, and he's covering up releasing the Epstein files. And look what's happening in the rest of the world. I mean, this is part of a broader context, right, of a restructuring of the global order. While he's invading states, other countries are like, see you later, United States, and new power poles are forming. I'll let you comment on that before we go.
Yeah, I mean, you've said it. The international situation is getting worse and worse, and it's harming not just our reputation and our military standing and our international standing. It's harming the economy of the United States because people are losing faith that indeed we are the standard bearers of the world, that we are the standard bearers of democracy. People are losing faith in that. And it's shocking to me. He's attacking governors and mayors across the country in the United States and not standing up to Vladimir Putin or Xi in China. The world is topsy-turvy. We need something new. We need to stand up to Trump. We need to win in 2026 and keep him from disrupting the elections in 2026, which is his aim. That is his aim with this National Guard movement. He wants to normalize the idea of troops on the ground, military in American cities, so that when he does it in 2026 and takes control of some elections because he doesn't like the outcome, that we'll say, oh, well, I guess it's okay. They are the military and we've seen them here. That's not normal, and none of us should stand.
It doesn't seem to be relating to what you're seeing on the screen. At least I'm not seeing it. But it's happening on my screen. I think my monitor might be dying. I don't know, which is gonna suck because it makes it really impossible to do streams. Like, I don't know how I used to do it with just one monitor. Gosh, don't want to have to buy a monitor right now. My other one, like, it works good when I can get it. Like, once I get it working. I don't really have to worry about it. It just sits over there. This one today has really been acting up, and hopefully it's not dying.
Governor Pritzker, thanks for your time as always, and thanks for...
That interview's over, so... Yeah, I think that's extremely scary shit, and that should concern any American, I think. Right? Like, really, it should. Alright, let's get rid of this one. Come up here. So yeah, this is the channel that I was talking about earlier. What time is it? 6:30. Again, I don't know, like, if I'll get in trouble watching this. They're a decently sized channel. They get a lot of views, especially considering their size. But I think it's great. It's like one of my new favorite channels. It's called Hysteria. I'm really bad at putting links in the description. I'll be definitely focused on that with the new channel. But go check them out. I think especially if you're on the left and you dislike all these people, know why you dislike them. This one, like, I just started kind of watching earlier, and then I decided to stream, and I was like, it's kind of a shorter one. Some of them can be longer. But yeah, this is the series, That Fucking Guy on the Hysteria channel. Should be able to find it pretty easily, I think, if you YouTube Hysteria. Yeah, it's pretty fucking awesome. So hopefully I don't get in trouble for showing this, or they don't take me down. But I thought it was great. And know thy enemy. Know thy enemy. So let's find out about that fucking guy, Mitch McConnell.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of This Fucking Guy, the video series where we pick apart a fucking guy who has made America worse. I'm Erin Ryan, host of Crooked Media's Hysteria podcast.
And I'm Alyssa Mastromonaco, the other host of Crooked Media's Hysteria podcast.
Alyssa, on this series, we've covered a diverse array of fucking guys from a variety of fields. But in addition to making America worse, they all share one important trait.
Well, we've yet to do a crossover This Fucking Guy with People Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive, nor are we covering Nobel nominees. Erin, I am lost. What's the trait?
The trait is delusion. No matter how much damage they've done or how boring their tactics, how simple and smooth their brains, fucking guys believe themselves to be cool and tough badasses. And most of them are simply weenies with no shame.
All true, Erin. My loins are girded.
And nobody is a bigger intransigent weenie than today's subject, Mitch McConnell.
An empty skin suit who has proven he will do and say almost anything to get reelected. A smug, oily man who has done more damage to 2 of the 3 branches of government than just about anyone.
He is a cartoon of why Americans hate Congress.
I hate this fucking guy.
You're going to feel even more strongly when we're done today.
I have no doubt.
Okay. Addison Mitchell McConnell.
I think I hate this fucking guy too, man. And, yeah, like, he's done a lot of bad shit. Like, I think we can lay the MAGA movement at the feet of Mitch McConnell. All the damage he did, the obstruction, you know, really making it an us versus them. And they won that, like, us versus them battle. Like, Mitch McConnell was very good at what he did.
McConnell III was born in Alabama.
What? His real name is Addison, Aaron?
Addison III. Addison III. He was an only child, and he was named after his father, who was named after his uncle. Mitch's family owned a funeral home. When he was 2 years old, he fell seriously ill with polio, and his family nearly went broke paying for his treatments.
Another thing that fucking guys seem to have in common. They face some sort of hardship as children, but rather than wanting people to be spared of that hardship, they think that because they suffered a hardship, it would actually be unfair if other people didn't have to suffer too.
Yeah, truly a broken-brained way to impede progress. McConnell, even though he had the personality of an invasive species of grass, was involved in student government as early as high school, where he discovered that the way to get elected when you have no charisma is to convince the voters that the popular kids like you.
An early pioneer in influencer marketing.
Yes, Mitch McConnell was the original charcoal toothpaste or mail-order waist trainer. He was in college during the height of the Vietnam War and in 1967 had a brief, mysterious 4-month stint serving in the Army Reserves.
We love a mysterious stint. What happened?
Well, McConnell enlisted in the reserves in March of that year, but reported to boot camp at Fort Knox, Kentucky in July. A month later, he was discharged for a common medical condition called optic neuritis.
Optic neuritis can be treated with a steroid and completely alleviated in a matter of a few weeks.
That's not the only weird thing about Mitch's time in the military.
Yeah, this one's kind of boring. But it's a great channel. You should check it out. You'd really enjoy it. Oh, I bet that one's a good one. We'll check that one out. That's a year ago. But
welcome to
JD
another
Vance. We might need to know more about JD Vance. We'll check this one out.
Episode of This Fucking Guy, the video series where we pick out a fucking guy making America worse and explain why they suck. I'm Erin Ryan, host of Crooked Media's Hysteria podcast.
And I'm Alyssa Mastromonaco, the other host of Crooked
Again, my
Media's
monitor's
Hysteria
fucking
podcast.
up. It's blacking out on me every once in a while.
We're going to tell the story of how
It's not computing to the stream, so hopefully I can
a Yale law graduate,
adjust it right after the stream.
Author,
Hopefully it'll
and
hold
then pivoted to
for the
full-time
stream.
shitposter in order to further one of the slimiest, most cynical political careers in recent memory.
You must be talking about Ohio Junior Senator J.D. Vance, who, with under 2 years of experience in elected office of any kind, has been named Donald Trump's running mate, the least popular running mate of all time. Take that, Sarah Palin.
She needed to be taken down a peg. And all Vance had to do to get there was suck up to the worst and whiniest people in America. Silicon Valley techno-fascists, people who handmade their own Let's Go Brandon signs with plywood and magic marker, Tucker Carlson, sex pests, men who do not wash their ass cracks, and fox-pilled boomers whose kids no longer speak to them.
Aaron, that's called coalition building.
And he did all this while suffering from a debilitating condition known clinically as negative Riz. It's what happens when somebody has so little charm and charisma.
Negative Riz. I fucking love this shit, dude. This is like my new favorite thing. I've been obsessed with this shit the last few days.
That they actually make the people around them seem less charming and charismatic. Sadly, there's no cure for negative Riz, and there's only one treatment.
What's that?
Money. Gobs of it. Money darker than Vance's Nightman Cometh core eyeliner. But we'll get to who's holding the purse strings later.
Is the Antichrist about to take the wheel?
The JD in JD Vance is not short for Jathrin. That's the dumbest joke I've ever made. It's a
good joke.
It's short for James Donald, as in James Donald Bowman. Bowman was born on August 2nd, 1984, which means he's a Leo. Boo, because I am too. Which also means he just turned 40.
Yeah, that sucks.
Which means
I'm a Leo. I don't want him to be a Leo.
He's a millennial.
Wow, impressive.
What? Why?
Aaron, he's doing racism at a much higher grade level.
Okay, that's fair. And not to be catty, but that man is aging like a tuna fish sandwich on a hot dashboard.
There is no magic tonic for the lines that evil etches into your face.
So unlike a lot of fucking guys we've discussed on this series, J.D. Vance's early life is well documented, as one of the main reasons any of us have ever heard of J.D. Vance is that he wrote a best-selling memoir called Hillbilly Elegy in 2016, which we'll talk more about later. If you didn't read it, that's fine. It's not a good book, despite how many guilty white liberals bought it and loved it when it came out.
In defense of guilty white liberals, J.D. Vance was much less of a shitheel back then.
Okay, fair enough. So let's make this biographical section quick, because there's so much weird shit to get to in Vance's adult life. Vance's given middle name, Donald, was after his father, who wasn't really in the picture. When his mother remarried, she changed his name to James David Hamill because she hated her ex-husband that much.
Wait. J.D. Vance changed his name? I thought J.D. Vance wanted people to be forced to go by the name listed on their birth certificate. As Alanis Morissette would say,
and isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
Fucking love this shit. Can't get enough of it. Continue. Can't get enough of it. It's great. It's good humor. But it's also informative. It's good to know your enemy. To know these people. Their motivations. The teal douchebag. You know, he's a big motivator behind all of what's happening. I don't know if you play Civilization at all. You know, in like the final stages, especially like Civ 6, because that's the one I've played the most. In the final civilizations of your Civ tree, they have those final futuristic governments, and it's like the technocrats are taking over. You know, it's really, really fucking scary. Like these billionaires, these people, like we've allowed to get really rich off of the sweat of American workers. And we've allowed them to get rich off of the American dream, you know, the kind of delusional American dream we push on everybody. The same delusional American dream that brought all the people here that they're now trying to export to all the corners of the world. That American dream. These people that we've allowed to accumulate all of the wealth of that. I mean, pretty much all of it. Now want to now tire of playing the game of owning the government from the shadows. They want to be the government. They want to be the rulers. Call it autocracy. I can't quite remember the terminology from Civ. But you know those last like 3 futuristic governments you can choose. The tech guys, the tech bros, the people that kind of created these fascist empires within their corporations and now want to kind of apply that to the world, right? They want to bring that same order that they've been able to achieve inside of these corporations that we've always allowed to be just the most un-American places in the world. You know, you're a free American until you punch into your time clock. And then you're not a free American for anywhere between 8 to, I think, legally 18 hours. I think that in the medical field, people probably work much longer hours than that. So, I mean, that's the reality of it. And they want to bring that to outside of the workplace now. That same structure, that same, a greater ability to welch the wealth of America because now they own it And you'll get less and less, right? Like, Brady foolishly in the side chat say you get rid of the low wage workers. Well, the low wage workers, a lot of them, most of them are like American citizens. How you get rid of them? You kill them off by taking away their health insurance, by taking away their ability to heal, their ability to eat. And then you eventually will become that lowest rung. We'll see if you have enough political capital to save your own skin at that point. And you need those lower rungs. You need those people. You're going to find that out the hard way, I think. And I just don't see how you can look at the trajectory of our economy and think that it's going to get better, or that you're going to see a dime of any of these so-called, what did he say? He's made $8 trillion so far with his new government and these tariffs and trade wars. It's complete and utter fucking nonsense. And you'll never see a dime of that. Ever. They literally went out of their way to blame inflation. Both parties. And then it became like a Bidenflation thing. But at first, they went out of their way to blame inflation on all of the rebate checks that we were getting. All of that, redistribution of wealth to the bottom. That caused inflation, right? That was the reason for it. It wasn't COVID. It wasn't, the fucked up, the fact that the supply chain got fucked because of COVID and continues to remain to be fucked. It was because, they gave Americans money. And how do you think you're going to be able to go in and punch that clock in when your job is automated, run by a thinking machine, that doesn't need to take a vacation, that doesn't need parental leave, that doesn't need time off, that only needs to be maintained by a few individuals, probably, not you. How are people going to survive? Is there a plan for that? You think these people care about you, so you weaponize the rationalities that you have for all of your injustices. We all do this. I like to point my injustices, I think, at the right places, at the people that hoard. I don't think, in America, if you work a 40-hour job, you should, really struggle to live. But what do I know? I don't know. It seems to me like we got some real fucking problems in this country. I don't know if I want to continue watching this. It's kind of late. I need to think about going to bed. I still haven't eaten dinner. Been streaming for a while, watching some crazy shit. I really appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Nervous to go to work tomorrow. I said some shit I shouldn't have said. And really, in this day and age, you don't want to be talking your politics at work anymore. Or you never really did, but, they can, but, we've always kind of had to be careful. And I've never been a careful type. I just kind of blurt out shit. I got a lot of OCD tendencies. I just kind of obsessively do, compulsively do things. And I need to really rein that in, man. But, I do try to be eternally optimistic about life nowadays. I'm always worried I'm going to lose my job, and it's kind of a running joke at my job that I'm always worried I'm going to lose my job because I'm just so worried about losing a job. But if I lose my job, then you just find another job, and you just got to be persistent. It's probably a little more persistent than usual in the new job market, but I don't know. I haven't really tried to find a job in the last year and a half. I really liked my job, but I did say some shit that I'm pretty sure offended a few folk. He's a big Cheeto. He's not a fascist. No, I kind of went through. I think it's pretty apparent he's a fascist by the definition of the word. I don't know. I'm kind of tired. I need to try to go to bed. I need to eat. So I guess, I'll see you guys probably tomorrow. If not tomorrow, I'll see you on my day off Saturday. Try to find some interesting stuff. CJ Cox wants to have a conversation with me. Let's have a conversation, my dude, my bigot, my old friend. So yeah, you guys, y'all have a wonderful evening. I enjoyed hanging out with you today. Kind of took my mind off of things. I needed it. My voice is slowly coming back to me. I listened to this when I went to sleep. Maybe I'll listen to this until I go to bed and then fall asleep to it. Marxist philosophy. Yeah, I don't know. The Economy of the Third Reich, How to Finance War. See, I don't really consider that, and I try to be fair. I'm not even sharing my screen, but I'm looking at my feed right now. My YouTube feed, it feeds me historical Nazi shit, but I don't consider that right wing, an algorithm pushing me right wing shit. I try to be fair about that assessment. That's because I watch a lot of historical shit on YouTube. Especially a lot of World War II historical shit. Yeah, it looks like there's some things I might be able to watch till I go to bed. So I'm going to get off here and watch them. You guys have a wonderful night. And always remember, the earth isn't flat, bitches.